The Emperor has been expecting you.
Hi everyone and welcome to 1/6 Figure Focus, and you're very welcome to a special live stream because I've had a very special guest here backstage. Some people call him the man, the myth, the legend, the kind of, I suppose, the leader of Jazzinc. What would you call him? I don't know, a company, corporation? No, it's not corporation. That sounds too corporate-y. I'm going to bring this guy in and I'm going to stop talking crap. I'm very excited to speak to this man all the way from Netherlands. Joost, is it a company or a corporation? Presume a company, yeah?
Yeah, I say we're the Collectibles Collective. You know, we're a group of fans.
I like that.
Yeah, that's how it started. That's what we are. So, yeah, it's the same thing with the name. I'm kind of stuck with it because of how it started. But I always say what you do what you say. So if I had a name that would describe more of what we do, I would call us the Collectibles Collective.
Excellent. And you know what? You've actually perfectly segued into my first question. I want to know, how does you're an engineer by trade, correct? Or
well, part of it, yeah. I also have an engineering degree, yes.
Gotcha. A man of many talents. So how does someone from the Netherlands involved in engineering just suddenly go, you know what we're going to do? We're going to make 1/6 scale collectibles, because I would imagine there are easier ways to make money. How does that?
Yeah. If I was in this for the money, I would have stuck with my old job. Yeah,
right, gotcha.
No, yeah.
How did it start?
Kicking and screaming.
Gotcha.
No, that was the first thing that popped in mind when you told me how. So let me set. I don't know how far back you want me to go, but I was a bit of a weird kid. So we in the Netherlands we have a lot of different levels at which you can do your education, starting from when you're 12. But there's also, of course, a lot of different directions you can take it in, and then they have these tests, and basically what they try to establish first is whether you're like, they call this the alpha sciences versus the beta sciences, which they also call the STEM fields now, but whether you're more of a creative or languages, that sort of thing, or whether you're more into the sciences, physics, maths, and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And my test, they came out almost equal, so that was already weird. Mm-hmm. And I always felt a bit like a weird outsider, because I lived in the Netherlands in a very rural area, backwards. No, it's not backwards, but it's as far as you can get almost from like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, those big cities. And so there was especially in my lower education, a bit of a rough crowd, and they were only into playing sports, and I was like, yeah, but I like Star Wars and Batman and that sort of thing. So but anyway, so when it came to looking for higher education, then I got the chance to do both. So I got my my Bachelor of Engineering, but I got an MBA in business as well, and found a job that can combine both. But I didn't get the chance to be really as creative and hands-on as I wanted, especially in later years when I ran companies. And so basically every year I had a project, and it just had to align with my interests. So one year I designed a guitar, built it, tube amp. And then when I got more and more into collecting, which was around 2014, something like that, when I found out that there was such a thing, because again, backwoods in the Netherlands, I'd never seen anything like that until I saw sideshow statues and hot toys for the first time, and I was like, whoa, that opened a whole world for me, and I started collecting. Went back and forth a bit between, do I want the statues, with the big presence and the dynamic poses, or do I want 6 scale where I can create my own poses, change them up, a bit cheaper, and don't take up as much space. And I went back and forth a bit, but I settled up on hot toys, and then it was time to select a project again for the new year. And a friend of mine sent me a picture from the I don't know, I forget what it was, but it was a diorama setup of a Death Star, and I was like, whoa, that is cool, because you see all these cool pictures from the Hot Toys site and all that sort of thing, and it looks really cool, but when you get it and you just put it in your display case, if you don't get the pose right, if you don't get the lighting, and in my cases don't add dioramas, then it doesn't bring out the maximum in those figures. They don't look as cool as they could as you see them in the pictures. And so I thought, that's what I'm going to do for my Star Wars figures. This coincided with Hot Toys getting the Star Wars license. And so I made this whole Death Star. You can still see it here. It's a very big 4 foot wide unit. Very big, deep, and so it fills a DF-120 case from Moducase. Case. Anyway, I just built that for myself, and I put that on Collectible Freaks, or was it still Sideshow Freaks back then? Something like that. And people were just losing their minds over it, and they were like, I want that too, I want it too. And I was like, yeah, it's good, but that took me 6 months, and I have a life and all that sort of thing. And it's a lot of work, and I find it nice to design, but then to have to constantly produce repetitiously, and that didn't appeal to me. Plus, it wasn't designed to be shipped, especially when you ship a diorama. You're shipping a lot of air. This thing was 80 pounds because it's solid aluminum, so you can't ship it. Anyway, and I still remember that I always say that it was the 36th person to ask me, because I counted back, and he said, can you make one? And I gave him all my objections, and he said, well, why don't you design it like an IKEA unit where you ship it flat and the customer has to assemble it? You'll catch two problems with one, because you don't have to do all the assembly all the time. You're not shipping a lot of air, and you're it's not going to be damaged fully assembled, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And then there was another happy coincidence, is that my father went into retirement, and he was bored. So he was like, during the day when I still worked at the other company, then I could do that. So I taught him everything. I taught him how to do airbrushing, weathering, soldering, and so started literally from my garage. And we built them for the customers that ordered them. I just did a run, and then that's where the collectibles collective and the grassroots thing really started, because then people were like, oh, that was cool, could you do another thing? And I was like, okay, but what? So they were like, can you do a Tantive entryway? I was like, sure, let's try that.
What's the time frame? Sorry, I'm loving every bit of this story. What does the time frame say? At this point, when someone asks you, can you do like the Tantive 4 entryway, roughly when was that? How many years? Rough guess.
I would say that was the year after.
Right.
So the
is
first
that like
year,
5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Oh no, yeah, that was. I think that is almost 10 years ago now.
Wow. Okay.
I since it wasn't official start, I played with the notion of making it our 10-year anniversary, because it was 10 years since we did this one. But yeah, no, that was a year later. So that would have been 9 years ago. But it wasn't until 2017 when it really got big enough so that I actually started the company and started an LTD, you would call it probably. And we did the more complex things. So we went from, because basically all this sort of thing, so this Death Star diorama and this Tantive and this is the Emperor Throne Room. Here you're seeing the Death Star window scene where Tarkin is with Leia, or you're not seeing that because it's behind the Batwing and the Snowspeeder, but that's what that is. I always call those designs, it's 2.5D, right? Because so it's anything I could. So there was a friend who had a company with CNC machines, and anything I could make when the machines were down in the evenings and in the weekends, just write a CNC program and just have it cut the reliefs, right? And then in the different panels, put it together. So anything basically you could make on a 3-axis, that's a 3-axis CNC machine. That was the limit of the design in those first few years.
And when you say CNC, sorry, a lot of this is just going straight over my head. So what's a CNC machine? Sorry.
So basically it's a lathe, but it's CNC stands for computer numerically controlled. So then there's a computer cutting along a predetermined path to get the patterns I design in the computer. So it's also computer-aided design and computer-aided manufacturing, CAD/CAM. You might have heard of that.
Yeah.
So anything I could make with a relief and then in different panels, and then have the metal either set into shape, formed into shape. So like for instance for this, or for these walls where they're a flat aluminum panel, but then they are set to curves because the Tantive had those curved walls. So, but that all our old stuff is all solid aluminum, right? Mm-hmm. And there was some assembly required by the customer. But then they started asking for more complex stuff. It started with the land speeder. You may be able to see that here. The Luke's X34 land speeder is here, as you can see. Yeah. So that was the first where we would have to do actual molds and resin casting, that sort of thing. More painting and weathering. Still very limited edition, mind you, but still. So that was the first of the more complex shapes. That opened up the possibility of doing... I have to do this mirrored. So you're seeing the...
you get used to it.
Yeah. It's the meditation chamber up top and the right.
I see it, yeah.
And then below that, we could do the claw for the carbon freezing chamber, that sort of thing. And then after that, we did raised sand speeder. You see below that.
Yeah. And that was all,
and then,
so that was, it started off basically as you were a collector yourself, making a diorama for yourself, and then people were impressed by it and took an interest, and then it gradually started to scale then, I suppose.
Yeah, but still very small. What I'm talking about here in the first few years is, for the meditation chamber, which was around 2016, 2017 maybe, I think we did 30 pieces of that,
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, yeah. So it was still very small, but it was very grassroots. So we gained more and more of a following, and then people said you should make like a product sheet, and I really started making a PDF, one sheet PDF with the products that we were making, and then people said maybe you should open a Facebook group where we can communicate with each other
and tell you all the different things that you need to.
I'm doing wrong. No, but it's really every idea. I had forgotten about it, but even like the product sheet going into the Facebook group, that was not my idea. That was all suggestions from fans, right, or collectors, or whatever, And then when I started my company, then they said, well, maybe you should build a website, and so our first website was built. Me and my wife, built that on a Saturday at our kitchen table, literally. Mm-hmm. That was 2017. Then people asked for the cockpit over here.
Yeah. And cockpit, yeah.
Yeah, because we did the complex shapes. We thought, okay, we can take it up a notch to more complex shapes, and this was very much more complex and larger, and it had 300 LEDs, and we developed a sound module custom with a custom PCB and everything, a speaker in the base. So, and then after that, when it was clear that Hot Toys wasn't going to be releasing the BVS Batmobile, I got approached again would you do the BVS Batmobile? And I said, well, I really need a lot more than what I'm doing to do that. I need at least 100. And so the guy was, okay, I'll check. And 24 hours later, we had 100 people.
24 hours later.
Yeah.
Man.
Amazing.
That's insane. So you had 100 people wanted a was it BVS Batmobile, was it?
The BVS Batmobile, yeah. We called it the Justice Mobile. Which then, I'm so sorry, that caught the attention of Warner Brothers. And then we went through the whole hoopla of getting the license.
And that's a question I definitely want to ask you, because from what I understand at the moment, you have the licenses to produce, is it Warner Brothers, or is it just specific Warner Brothers vehicles?
So we have the license for many Warner Brothers and DC properties. And right now it's vehicles, accessories, and dioramas for 6 and 12 scale. Right,
interesting.
But it is worldwide. And
Which
that is quite unique.
Important, yeah, that's important. And one of the things, like, again, like, you know, there was, I think we spoke before, and I did ask this question, but just sometimes, like, say, obviously you make Star Wars stuff, and then you make, obviously, the Batmobiles and the Warner Brothers stuff, and the Batmobile stuff, they're all, like, fully licensed, like the 89 Batwing, the 89 Batmobile, the 2022, the 1966. But then, say, the Star Wars stuff, like the Falcon, the dioramas, the Snowspeeder, they're not actually licensed. Would that be correct?
Yeah, but they're all.
How does that work?
Well, it's really all limited, very, very, very limited custom builds. Like I said, 30 pieces here and there. You know, that is such a different ball game from the Batman stuff that we do. So, and
are Disney or Star Wars, are they like aware of that? Have they ever communicated with you, or have you ever tried to
indirectly?
Reach out to them?
Yeah, I've heard from them. We've had actually, it was during a customs check for the cockpit where Dutch Customs was like, okay, but we have to check with Disney what they think of this, and they were like, oh, we're fine.
Really? So Dutch Customs brought that to Disney's attention. It was something that was being exported, was it?
Yeah, we got parts from our Asian suppliers for the cockpit.
Oh, right, okay.
And it was coming into the Netherlands, and they were like, okay, what's going on?
And would that be like, would the Disney license and the Star Wars license be something you'd actively try and pursue in the same way that you have the Batman stuff, or do you kind of wait for them to come to you, or is it something that you've...
I don't know if the Star Wars license for what we do, which is vehicles and dioramas in very, very limited quantities, if that's worthy of a license.
Right, okay.
If I look at... You have to understand that the Batman collectibles, for especially the stuff that we do, has like 10 times the demand or more compared to Star Wars.
Wow.
I wouldn't have guessed, because everybody says Star Wars is the biggest license.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that.
No,
either.
I mean, with the Jedi Starfighter, I don't know if you remember this, but that was that was almost, we didn't even get the minimum requirement that we even need for this custom stuff. So, yeah, the market for Star Wars is just so small for this sort of thing that we it's just a custom thing we do. We do a few limited runs, very small.
But you're still going to go ahead and make the Jedi Starfighter, yeah?
Yeah. But that's because I want it for myself, right? But
that you kind of answered one of my questions, but I might have to address this one. That I loved every bit of that story, just the origins. You're a collector yourself, and you just working with your father, and then so at the moment now, like in total employees, like it's a family-run business from what I understand. How many? Including yourself, like how many people work for Jazzinc?
Do you want to know people or like FTE?
What's FTE?
Full-time employee. So that's
right. So right, I get you.
So we got a lot of part-timers.
Okay.
So basically, it's my dad who is employee number one. Then My wife joined only last year as a full-time. Well, she works 4 days mostly, sometimes 5. But yeah, so my wife joined last year. Then both my boys, who, although the youngest is now doing other stuff more of the time, so it's mostly my eldest son who works part-time after, but he's going to college as well, so as much time as he can. And it's about half his soccer team that works part-time for us during the weekends, doing quality control, that sort of thing, packing, boxing.
So they're the Champions League, the Jazzinc Champions League.
Yeah, so it's like 12 people in total, where if you break it down, and we've don't forget, we've got Kiara. I forget, she's with pregnancy, or she's with maternity leave right now. But we have Kiara. That's the only non-family member, well, apart from the soccer team, but the only non-family member that really has a significant job. She works 5 days a week, about 6 hours a week, a day, just customer service, answering emails, because we want to be available always for everyone,
Excellent. Look, I do have some more questions. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I'm just going to address some of the chat because I haven't said anything yet. So really quickly, folks, if you are just joining us, we have Joost from Jazzinc. We'll be live probably for another hour and a half thereabouts. As usual, there is a link pinned in the live chat, a link to join the channel memberships if you want to support the channel in that way. Much appreciated. Just going to take a look at some of the people who are joining. We have 82 people watching live at the moment. Massively appreciated. If you're watching on the replay, massively appreciated as well. Maybe hit a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Right, so we got Low Key Collector. This man, definitely, Calvin, has a lot of your pieces. He's a big fan. We got a channel member, Boba Fettuccini. Thank you for being here. We got H in Silver Fox. He's a channel member. He's a panel member on Monday nights. He's a big fan of Jazzinc, and he's also a mod as well. So behave yourself, folks, or don't make him use the wrench. So we got Larry Walker, Figurecraft. We got Thomas. We have Jose G. Hernandez. He's a channel member. He's a panel member on Monday nights on the Hope Show, and he is our resident fact checker. He will probably catch me out multiple times in the stream. We have Dan in Carbonite, another panel member on the Hope Show on Monday nights. We have Austin McLean. We have Thomas. We've got 16 Rick. There's a lot of people here. We're trying to do my best to catch up. Shout out to another fellow Irishman, Dave's Man Cave Ireland. He has a YouTube channel as well, and he has multiple Jazzinc pieces. Hey guys, looking forward to this video. Just unboxed the 22 over the weekend to add to the 66. Now he's just flexing. And put in an order for the Batwing mount and a strong hole display. Excellent stuff. Thanks very much for being here. We have Gilbert Hartman as well. We have Thrawn's Office channel member and a panel member on the Monday nights on the Hope Show. William Owens, thanks very much for being here. Boba Fettuccini, the tastiest username in the 1/6 scale community, always makes me want to have pasta. Neilerific, channel member, thank you very much for being here as well. We got Batman Collectibles. Well, you're in the right place, definitely. Hello, Shane and Joost. Received my 95 Batman this past Monday. Thank you so much, Joost. As soon as I opened it, I was smacked in the face with nostalgia. Well, you're probably not going to get a more heartfelt comment than that. I absolutely love it. Keep them coming, folks. We got big friend of the channels. We have a friend, a channel member, a panel member on the Hope Show, Phil, the _ Empire Strikes. Haven't spoke to him in a few weeks because he was on holidays. I didn't do the Hope Show Monday. He was on holidays the week before. So hope the interview went well, buddy, and looking forward to chatting with you next Monday. Brad Koski, another big fan of the Jazzinc and your products and your work. Who else do we have? We got Keith 0065. We got Kyle Goodwin, thanks very much for being here. Action Figure Fan. Who else do we have? We've got Danny Spotchka as well, another channel member. Thank you very much. We have Thomas and the Movie Canon. Thanks very much, folks. Massive success here so far. A lot of people in here, and hopefully you're going to enjoy this conversation. We got Keith Lee as well. I'm kind of nearly getting the collector. Joey, a man responsible for the kangaroo population in Texas. If you know, you know, folks. We got Benjamin E. Green here as well. Thanks very much for being here. And we're nearly catching up here. We got Aaron Grove as well. Aaron Grove, got that name right. Excellent stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for being here. I'm trying to make sure I get everyone here.
Don't forget Larry Chapman.
Is it Larry Chapman? I'm probably not down to Larry yet. Maybe if I missed you, Larry, I do apologize. Larry's here as well. Mitchell Lawrence. We got Costa, the pop culture living room. I wish my collection was as big as Joost. Well, he can just make anything he wants, which is great. But then again, so can Costa. Costa's very talented making those custom cases. We got Brick Artemis, thanks for being here. Derek Sizemore, don't you worry. We are going to talk about RoboCop. I am not letting this man out of here. I will do my best, but I can't make any promises. I'm going to try and pull at the heartstrings, the purse strings, everything. So, look, he can't make everything, but we can try and ask him. Who else do we have? I'm trying to catch up. Shane, really love your vehicles, even though I'm only new, so interested. Keep up the good work. Love some Scott. I do appreciate that. It's better than the troll comments that I've been getting lately. But don't worry, we don't entertain them. We block and we move on and we continue living our lives. Sometimes I even tell my girlfriend we have a good laugh about them. So troll on, my friends, troll on. We're immune. We're immune. Just My Toys, massive thank you for being here. Absolutely, really appreciate your support. And another channel member. I'll eventually talk to you, Joost. I'm just trying to catch up with these. We got, is it Bielkai? I'm sorry if I absolutely made a mess of that. We got Thomas as well, Classy Thomas in the building. We got Big Rib. We got Stephen Lawrence. We do have Larry Chapman. I'm definitely a good bit behind. So we're kind of up to date here now. I just want 2 little shout outs here. This one is really important. There we go. Particularly important. So I saw this during the week. If I make sure I get everything working here. So we got a new channel member.
Welcome to the club, man.
Have you seen True Lies, Joost?
Yes.
Okay.
The question should be how many times?
All right. Okay. But so has anyone asked you to build a Harrier jump yet? Don't worry. That's not one of the ones that people have been requesting. As far as I know, maybe I've just caused a massive problem.
You would be the first.
Right. I don't know where I could possibly put that.
No.
So we have to shout out a brand new channel member, Howard Potts. Thank you. Joined a few days ago and it was still the comment was still there. I really do appreciate it. And of course there's another man in here who is making sure that I don't forget about him and what I've been given strict orders to speak to you about. We have Ian H and Silver Fox with a very, very generous, completely unnecessary, but very much appreciated. H and Silver Fox, Ian is a channel member, he's a panel member, and he looks like he's trying to pay my mortgage now. Really, really appreciated. Or at least pay for some of my Jazzinc 1989. Joost, when are you starting the DB5? I said when and not if. That sounds like a threat. These Scots people, they need to calm down. Ian joins us on a Monday night, but most people watching with subtitles. When we start talking, it's actually the two of us. They need subtitles, Irish and a Scotsman, you know. So thanks for my patience there. We're gonna go on a little bit, just on a little bit of a tangent here, because just for fun, I'm really curious to see what you think of a few things here, Joost. You might enjoy this. You may or may not enjoy this. So So massive shout out to the 3,231 subscribers, greatly appreciated. Quick nod to our channel member before I put Joost on the hot seat. Don't worry, Joost, it's not that bad. Shout out to the troopers: Howard Potts, Kenneth Jacobson, Danny Spotchka, H and Silver Fox, Jose G Hernandez, Brian Wong, The Ben Thomas Show, Eddie Money Mendez, Caffeinated Comic Fan, Jim Collector, Lancelot's Nerd Corner, Mug Wump, Mike L and Ryan Smith. And of course you can't have the troopers without the commanders, who we thank like this because they have their names, their YouTube handles displayed at the end of all my content, reviews, live streams, unboxings, all that kind of stuff. Joost, every Monday night on the Hope Show, we do a thing called the Snap. What we do is I give you 2 things. I'm going to give you 2 items on the screen, and you have to decide which one of them you're going to Thanos snap out of existence, turn to dust. They're really tricky now. It's not for the faint-hearted.
Sounds cruel, not tricky. Sounds cruel.
It is absolutely cruel. I do this to kind of semi-torture my channel members. But they kind of enjoy it as well. They really
interesting.
So I'm going to show you 2 images, and which are divisive. There are no right answers. There are no wrong answers. You just have to decide which one you would remove and which one you'd keep. I'm starting off with a very, very controversial one. If you had to choose keep one version of Batman and dust another one, would you turn Keaton to dust, it never existed, it never happened, and stick with the Dark Knight trilogy and Bale? Or would you turn Bale to dust and keep Michael Keaton? I said I wanted on here for a good friendly conversation. I'm after being very, very mean here, but look, the chat are going to participate too. What would you do?
Oh, it's not going to be that hard. You're not going to be in the hot seat, Joost. What is this? This is... Okay, so what you're asking here is either to choose between what I think is the best Batman movie and maybe even, if we take The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger in it, the best superhero movie in it, because it's the only superhero movie I would ever, and I have ever suggested to non-superhero movie lovers, and people have loved it. That
Great point.
Versus my childhood, my introduction to the Batman on screen, because we didn't get 1966 or any other thing of Batman before that in the Netherlands. So basically you're saying best Dark Knight movie ever or your childhood. That's the fun choice you're giving me. That's what you're saying.
I'm a horrible
right?
human being.
That's what I wanted to hear. Horrible. Horrible. Okay. Man.
I know. I get that a lot.
Yeah.
And I deserve it.
Yeah. Okay, I gotta dust Bale because it's my childhood. It's the best. It's the best Batmobile we've ever done. It's nostalgia. I gotta dust Bale. I'm sorry.
That's fair enough. And you know what I like about you? You recognize the positives about both of them, because let's face it, they're both awesome. They're just different ways. There are no right answers, there are no wrong. I appreciate you playing the game. Now that's one of three. This is the next one. Now this one is probably a bit closer to home. This one's a bit closer to home for you. It's not nice.
Had I known this, I would never have agreed to this whole
I know.
thing.
You kind of. I did ask you. You know what?
Do you have anything you do? I can't ask. No, you can ask anything. But then I knew you were going to do this.
If you have to remove one of these, would there be? And you've made. Well, you're in the process of making the one on the left. I know you have a prototype.
Yeah,
yeah, you've made the two of them.
I made them.
I've seen the 1966. It looks absolutely stunning. I've no doubt, but I really, really hope. I've no doubt that the 1989 will look stunning as well. If you had to dust one and keep one, what would it be?
Yeah. Okay. This one is not so hard for me because I love both. And for the generic fan that comes and visits our showroom, most people do gravitate towards the 1966. But hear me out on this.
I'm listening. I'm all ears.
I think the 1989 is a more original concept. Instead of taking a couple of days, or what was it, 2 weeks, to basically modify the Ford Futura, and I know I'm going to step on a lot of toes and pierce a lot of hearts here, the 1989, I have talked to the Julian Kaldau, the original designer.
Wow.
This was such an original concept. And that man, he's a treasure, by the way. More to come on that. But if you look at the real original stuff that sprung from his mind, not just this vehicle, but other stuff as well, I have to dust the 1966. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. And you know what? That's you're saying all the right things about that 89, folks. There are no right answers. There are no wrong answers. I'm asking the man to make an impossible choice, and I appreciate him. I appreciate you playing him. That's amazing that you spoke about you spoke to the original designer, and we are definitely going to be talking about the 1989 at length. We're going to move on from now to the final one. Derek, if you're watching, this one for the boys. Would you rather? Now this is a bit different. Would you rather make this, or would you rather make this? Okay. Come on now, right? That's an easy one for you.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, the thing is, I like RoboCop, but I like RoboCop as well. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Is that a little? I'm committing that to memory. I'm committing that to memory. Right. The man's making figures, but won't tell us what he's making. But he likes RoboCop as well. Okay. There might be a ray of hope there. There might be a ray of hope. Well, I'll tell you this, and the internet never forgets. When I get the 1989 in hand, and if I'm happy with it, which I'm sure I will be. If I'm happy with it,
When?
Oh, when? Okay, Grant. Okay. You're very confident. Yeah. I do like the confidence. Okay. Yeah. When I get the 1989 in hand, and when I'm confident, you put this up for pre-order, this RoboCop, I'm in. And I know you probably hear that a lot, and then people, I understand the financial situations change, or I'm on it. I want this car with RoboCop stepping out and I'm not alone. But look, we'll go back, and I've got another question for you. Thanks very much. I know that those questions are horrible, and I'm a terrible person. So, if you could make any 1/6 scale vehicle, doesn't matter if it's the licensed for it, unlicensed, if you could even kind of go, you know what, we're gonna push the boat out here, and if scale wasn't an issue, it could be even a bit bigger than the Batman. If there's anything you could really make in 1/6 scale, just for like a passion project, just so like I really want one of those, what would you make?
I had an answer until you said it could be even bigger.
What was your answer you were going to say, actually?
Kit.
Well, this is great, because I'm hearing when those posts went up on Facebook, a lot of people were saying Kit.
I think
so. Kit would be it.
Yeah. Kit is an easy choice because I think it captures both what I would love to have and what I think there's a market for. So yeah, that would be Kit. Yeah. Okay.
And then when I said, like, I think you kind of half changed your mind. There was something else then when I said, if it was just a one-time passion project or something. Was there another thing you were thinking about as well, or?
Two things.
Okay, go on. We're all ears. We have time.
All right. So, passion project, money and size is no object. It's totally ridiculous. I'm going to build the full 6-scale Falcon.
Wow. But that'd be like it. That's just. Would it be right in saying that's just simply too big to, on any level, put into production?
Oh yeah. That's too big to put in production. I don't know if you've ever seen. Maybe you should Google it.
Huge.
But Hot Toys did a 6-scale Falcon for a show. I've only seen pictures, but if you see people standing next to that thing, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely huge. But no, thanks. Appreciate that. I was wondering what you were going to say. So like the next question is kind of like the next question is like, how does it? Could you talk me through like the process from start to finish, from where you're like, okay, we've got these suggestions, to okay, we're putting it into prototype or production and putting it up for pre-order, to right through to the finished product. So like a whistle-stop tour of from like how it starts to how it ends up being on someone's shelf.
Yeah. Well, that's a process that's continuously evolving, where we're putting in more and more steps, and so it's becoming more and more complex, especially. So let's take the 1989 Batmobile. I mean, that's the most current, that's the most complex.
No objections here. I'm here to listen.
Yeah, and the other thing that's interesting about the 1989, because I could also talk about the 2022, but the difference there is we had actual pictures, and we were working on it together with the people on set who were building the real thing. So that was the first time, and so far the only time, where we could do that. And so that's a slightly different process than all the other stuff. So like the 1989, the thing is, for the 1989, it's a very complex. It's deceivingly complex in its shape. I think that's one of the reasons why no one has ever really made a good, accurate scale model of it. Because it's completely hand shaped, so it's slightly asymmetrical, but there are so many weird compound curves, which is what you don't see on the other models, and especially the other 6-scale model out there. When you start designing that, and you only have to you only have pictures to work from, and of course some footage, but basically you only have pictures to work from. The difficult thing is you start with your drawing, and then when there's really complex 3D shapes, it's the same thing with certain portraits. As soon as you turn it to a different angle, so it can look great and dead on from here, and then you turn it and something looks off. But you can't really say what yet, because there are too many surfaces and angles and compound curves coming together. So that's one of the tricky things, and one of the reasons why, if you look, and this is fun, of course, because I document the whole process. So if you now go back to the very first renders I did, be it the 1966 or the 1989, and that's me thinking I'm close, right? You're going to see there are quite a lot of differences and small mistakes that a layperson, or maybe even you, if you just quickly scanned, wouldn't pick up on. But it takes a lot of iterations to get closer and closer to the truth. And of course, I like to start by communicating as soon as possible and letting people know I'm not only open to your suggestion, I need them at this point, right?
Mm-hmm. So with the 89, like you mentioned, you spoke to the 89's like original like designer.
Yeah.
And then like in terms of like, obviously because it's licensed, did Warner Brothers like give you a bunch of like I don't know, like a kind of a blueprint style of things to work through, or was it just like you contacted the original designer, said, right, how long is it, like how wide is it, and get the spec, like, and was that like?
So there are no people who have all the information I need. Not even the people who worked on set, because that's all compartmentalized, right? So I said I talked to Julian Caldow, but he did the concept design, right? He didn't physically build the model. That was somebody else. And then they made several versions, stunt vehicles. They made interiors just for interior shots. That's just on a set, so that's not even in a car. There are different versions of that with the 1989, but also with the 2022. There are 5 or 6 versions. If you look at the car, and the interior, the separate interior they built, and they're all slightly different. So then I find a whole bunch of people who call themselves experts, and I weed out the people who are actually the experts.
So some people don't make the cut then.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Because it's interesting, like, because like obviously Hot Toys have done the 89 before, and then they've done this new one, which essentially seems for the most part the same. And
it's exactly the same.
It's 100 centimeters long, and like I just did a quick Google search, and I could easily find 2 or 3, I think 3 different sites, which basically. I'm gonna go metric. You're metric, aren't you? Netherlands. Yeah. I think the only people who aren't metric are Americans. But it's like 660 centimeters is what I found in like quick Google search. 2 or 3 different different sites, car sites or fan sites, whatever. And I don't know. Maybe this is naive of me. I'm thinking, okay, 6 scale. Okay, that's the length. So you divide that by 6. It should be 1 meter, 1.1 meters. Is it? There must be more to it than that, or is it that simple for like length, width, height, or because you're describing a lot of things but looking from different angles, kind of slightly asymmetrical, or like does it everything just get shrunken down 6 scale? Yeah.
So the answer to that question is there are actually quite a lot of questions hidden in that simple question. So basically, let's go for the technical answer first. Basically, it is that simple. You divide it by 6, and the true length in 6 scale of the Batmobile is a little bit over 110 centimeters. Guess what? Our car is a little bit over 110 centimeters. Now, the second part of that technical answer depends on how you measure it. Because what part of the front and what part of the rear are you using as the extreme to make the measurements? And are you sure that's the same that those people who measured the original vehicle
Yeah,
used.
because I'd be just thinking it's the extremes. It's the furthest point of the bonnet and the furthest point of the back. Like, is that
Well, so it's not the bonnet.
right?
It's the lowest split, somewhere the lower splitter, I think, and then it's the part of the wing on the back that is the furthest point. But some people like to measure just the undercarriage. So, and you can't talk to the people who did those measurements online. So we had to track down the person who bought the actual hero vehicle. And this is also important. So we like to work with as much as we can from the hero vehicle, right? Which is not always what you see on screen, both interior and exterior. Again, this is important. And then we actually measured that vehicle, or had people in the States measure that vehicle, and I was live on a stream guiding them and getting those measurements, right? So, and then I can make some measurements, and we also do subdivisions of parts to make sure we not only get the measurements, but also get the right ratios. So if you look at, we're talking about the Hot Toys one, right? That's 99 centimeters something, so that's too small.
Yeah.
That's not only because it's too small, but also because the ratio, especially of the front, anything beyond the windscreen to the front is shrunk. So it's not just shrunk down 11% in all dimensions, but the front
proportions
hood
are off as well because of it. Then I got you.
Yeah. And it took me a long while to figure out why that is. But the reason, so now we come to the other part of your question. Why would you do that? Well, if when you're working in 3 dimensions, it adds up quickly. So I don't know if you've done math, but if you take 11% to the power of 3, you get to 39%. So you're saving 39% on everything you do just by making it 10 centimeters smaller.
So it's like literally a kind of a logistical cost-saving measure, potentially.
Yeah, that's the first of the cost-saving measures. I mean, if you can save almost 40%, that's a lot of money. And then, so for us, if you look at the vehicle, that's 110 centimeters, a little over. The molds to make that have to be even bigger, right? And so that also scales up in 3 dimensions. So when you're scaling down the car 11% over 3 dimensions, you get 39% savings. On the molds, the difference scales up even more to 50% savings, right? So it's an easy buck to make if you're the only player in town and you can just take off 10 centimeters. It still looks great. It's still 100 centimeters, still a big car, and nobody noticed for 10 years or 14 years. The first one they did in 2010, right? Or maybe a couple of nerds saw, but most people didn't notice.
Yeah.
And
well, there's
you're saving
definitely a couple of nerds in the community. So I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, we miss things.
So
we miss things.
Yeah. And so, but that's why basically all their vehicles are underscaled. I think for that reason. And the other reason, I think, why they did, because if you look at the back, and especially if you look at the wings on the back, they are so much straighter on the Hot Toys version. Again, because it's much easier to make a mold that way and to get them out and not to have to do a whole lot of post-processing. Because every part on our car, we make it the hardest way possible, unfortunately. That comes out, have to sand it, prime it, sand it. First layer of paint, sand it. So there's a lot of sanding going on. So every car, from start of tooling to finished production, takes, for a single car, I would say 6 to 8 weeks. So that takes a lot of time.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That just costs a lot of money, right? And I'm so glad I'm able to explain these things on live streams. People are always like, well, why are your cars so much more expensive? Well, if you look apples to apples, our cars are always bigger. So it takes between 40 and 50% extra price right there. And then there's a lot more handwork involved. And then we usually add more features like the light, smoke, sound, remote,
This is
power
literally,
adapter.
I'm loving this. I'm loving these explanations, and this is literally the perfect point for something that I have lined up. Now,
Okay.
before I put this up, I think context is really important. Joost, like, I'm a movie lover first. My love of collecting stems from my love of movies. I'm not a gamer. I never got into PlayStation or Xbox or anything like that. I have some graphic novels. Usually I see a movie like The Dark Knight we mentioned, and I hear Christopher Nolan used Year One graphic novel for inspiration for the first one, and then for The Dark Knight he drew upon Arkham Asylum and The Killing Joke, and I want to go back and see what the thing that inspired him and what he left out and what he kept, you know. But the 1989 Batman was the first movie I remember loving, and something about it, I was like, I'm a kid but I really enjoy this, but I think it's acceptable for me to like this when I'm older. I think that adult Shane would like this, and because I see my parents enjoyed it as well, and then as I grew older I loved it as a teenager, and I got to see it for the first time in the cinema, like, you know, back in I think Batman Day in October, November, whatever. I'd never seen it. I was like literally 30 or 39 or 40, I can't remember what, for the first time actually seeing that in the big screen, and I loved it. Just a great afternoon. So for me, I always wanted the 1989 Batmobile. I love the Tumbler. The 2022 really grew me. There's such a certain elegance about the 1966, the animation, love it. But when I think Batmobile, I think 1989. And I thought I was going to work backwards and get the Hot Toys and all that, and then they did the new the reissue, and I was like, right, that's an easy buy. And obviously, like, look, I know that people's budgets are different, and I think both cars are going to look amazing on the shelf, especially like you said earlier on, depending on your display, your lighting, what figures you have next to it, and all the diorama. Both of them are going to hit the spot. I do think in the original videos where I had just pre-ordered the Hot Toys, I mentioned Jazzinc, and goes, from what I've seen, I do think Jazzinc is going to be more accurate and a better car. But at the time, I had no way of displaying the one with the Jazzinc. It was a bit longer, it'd be a bit more, because I had ideas of where I could display the Hot Toys ones that were barely working as it was, and I was thinking the extra money and the extra space isn't going to suit me. Then I saw the prototype images, and shout out to Anthony as well in the Netherlands as well, I believe.
You did a
and
comparison.
it just reeled me in, and I was like, okay, how could I make this work? So behind me, I recently redid my display. Underneath it, I've got a wooden riser, but I've been in contact months ago with Brian from Moduspace, and I'm working on getting two basically big module cases that are going to double up as risers, but also display vehicles. I have a tumbler in the next room, which is going to go in one of them, and the next space will be for the Jazzinc 1989. So I had the new Hot Toys one on order. Now I have to show you this. Like, this is really, I want you to sell me this, right? This one on screen is obviously the Hot Toys one. It's a photo I actually loved from the latest set of Blogger images. Now I know people are screaming at the screens going, that's not 574, and then there's taxes and whatever. It's $725 on Sideshow. Then you got to pay your taxes and your shipping. However, I work with Lion Rock Toys. Look, I'm being very, very honest here, probably too honest. They do worldwide shipping, free worldwide shipping, and they ship it in a way that I don't get stung for customs, and because I review things, I get them a bit cheaper. They gave me a banger deal on this. There's no other way of describing it. They were going to ship this, I wouldn't get caught. That would be my final price. So a lot of people say, well, the Jazzinc is twice as expensive. In my case, though, it's $1,500 plus customs, about $389, and then about $200 shipping, which you have no control over the shipping to Ireland. You have no control or customs, and I completely
that's not true.
appreciate that.
We do declare lower, so you won't pay the full price. But go ahead.
Okay, that's great news. But so I'm going to pay in total $2,043.77. Now I'm a man of facts. I'm very, very straightforward. I reached out to the company I had this, going to really appreciate that, but look, I've decided to go with the Jazzinc, even though I know it's more expensive. I think it's going to be a better vehicle, and I don't buy too many vehicles, and this one's a really important one for me, like a lot of people watching the stream, either live on the replay. But for me, it's essentially 4 times the price all in, realistically. Now, I'm doing that based on, I think it was the 1989 Batwing that really drew me in. I liked a lot of your stuff. I've never owned any of your products. I have seen a lot of reviews and been on the site a lot of time, and that Batwing 1989 I just thought was stunning. Really, really, like, more than anything else, it dragged me in, but I just have nowhere to put it. But when this dropped here, I knew as soon as I saw those photos I was done for. So what I'm asking you is, like, okay, obviously there's a price difference. Why is this the better option? If we just put, it is more expensive. We can't really put that aside because it is going to be more expensive. Some people won't be able to afford it. Some people won't display it, and I get that. And I'm very privileged to be in this position that I can. Why will this one be better?
Yeah. Okay. So, can I address a little pet peeve?
Of course.
And you're right to make the calculation for what it is for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if people aren't really paying close attention to the stream, it makes the difference really that much bigger, because on the other you're getting a discount, on this one you're not, on the other one you're not paying taxes, on this one you are.
100%.
So I would appreciate it if we could just keep it to the one is $750, the other is $1,500. That's basically what we're talking about. And then well, I've explained the price difference. I mean, just for materials and molds alone, and for me, molds are more than 50% of the price. This is another thing that people, of course, because they're not in production, is hard to grasp.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a reason why there's so many illegal figure companies. There are so many figure companies. I can name a dozen. How many 6-scale vehicle companies can you name? It's that hard to do, and it's that expensive. And the only reason why we can do it is because we run this with a skeleton crew, where we can say, and this is not including my pay, overhead, website, PayPal fees, credit card fees, anything, just your car, 70 cents for every dollar you pay me goes into your car.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't include overhead or anything. So that's why we're the only one who can do this. This is why they are.
So your margin is like basically 30 cents on the dollar. Then would that be
no?
I know.
No, that is, well, that would be maybe the gross margin depending on how you calculate it. But
Mm-hmm.
then that doesn't account for any overhead, website. I pay. And we're anywhere between 3 to 8% goes to credit card companies, the Stripe intermediary,
Mm-hmm.
PayPal asks a lot. Then I have the exchange rate losses because I get paid and have to pay suppliers in dollars, but our country works in euros. So to be able to have so little cost in our organization that we can put 70 cents to the dollar into our vehicle is and people really don't understand or appreciate that. That is unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
To give you an idea, for that
other,
the other one, the Hot Toys one, that is, Hot Toys has to make money and has to be able to pay. has to be able to pay.
That.
Yeah. So Hot Toys has to make money and have enough money left over to pay for 100 employees versus our 5 if you count four times the secret base. Their big stands on all the cons. Sideshow also has to make money on top of that. So if you calculate back how much money they could even put into that vehicle,
mm-hmm.
I guarantee you're getting less for your dollar. So then back to your question, why should you buy mine? Well, I've in every live stream and people who have asked me online, I've said, if you're a casual Batman fan and you don't have the budget, please buy the Hot Toys one. Mm-hmm. We're already,
and I think that's a fair statement. I do think that's a fair statement. Yeah, because there's certain things I'm casual about, and I'm like, I'm not willing to invest this much into that particular thing. But for this, it's the opposite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I appreciate, again, you know, I appreciate that, just for people watching, like, just to Joost's point, if you're in America and you're getting this from Sideshow, it's $725 before you even factor shipping or sales tax. So it is not going to be the price that I get it for. I know that's a unique situation. I'm just being really transparent about, because that's just my situation. I completely understand, depending on where you are in the world, or depending on, like, you know, the shipping costs and customs, which you have absolutely no control. I get that. I'm kind of partially kind of going, I'm giving you a compliment as well, because I'm putting the trust that it's going to turn out well, you know? So, sorry, I cut you off. I apologize.
Yeah. But the reason why it's a pet peeve is I've seen this many times where people compare the bare Sideshow price, excluding taxes and shipping, with the price they pay from us, including Sideshow, the shipping and taxes. And it's like, I'm not getting $2,000. That's not the budget I can work with. So that's a pet peeve.
Yeah.
Let it go. Anyway, so again, going back to your question, if you're casual about Batman and you don't have a big budget, please get the Hot Toys one. It is a great bang for the buck. Whereas if you want the vehicle that was on screen, if you want accuracy, if you want the right curves, if you want the right size, if you want the right ratios, more detail, more features. So what we offer is basically it's that 40-50% extra in cost for the larger correct size. We have much more light, much more cockpit detail. We have the sound, the light remote, DC powered versus battery powered, which you're never going to use. We've got the sound feature. We've got the spinning turbine. We've got die-cast parts, a metal subframe, real metal meshes. Then
The remote control?
The remote control, and then the custom remote control now, because we have the as soon as we made more sales than we needed to, I started putting more stuff for free. So if you ordered it at day one pre-order, your feature list has doubled for the same price.
I noticed that, because that's something I am not used to. I'm used to, this is what is on offer, this is what I'm paying for, and then bang, and that's it. I think recently, what company was it? There's some, I don't know, maybe did Inert do something and then throw some, it was the 4-pack Joker, but it was just a base, like, you know, the base probably cost me a few cents to make, whatever. But yeah, it was nice, it was a nice gesture. But I was at work one day and I just got this notification, whatever, and I checked it, and it was like, it was the remote control or something else. It was, I think it was the remote control. It was extra, or the fact that it was customized, and I'm not used to that, like paying for something then going, all right, I'm getting more than what I asked, like, which is great, obviously. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah. So for the people who haven't seen it, I just put up a render on screen. So this is going to be the custom designed remote. It's basically remember the scene where the Batmobile drives towards Batman and he's like, stop.
Yep.
At the last minute. That's that device. And all we did was add the buttons for all the controls. So basically that's another extra. Yeah, why do I do that? Well, I could have kept the extra profit, but we're finally healthy. So, like I said, we've been doing this for 10 years. Last year's the first year we've actually turned a profit, finally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But that's important for the future, because the company needs that, right? You can't keep working in the red. And the fact that I've been able to build businesses before, the fact that I've made enough money from that I could run Jazzinc at a loss for so long is one of the reasons I'm still here. Much to Hot Toys' annoyance. But anyway, so why would I need more profit than what I calculated when I make the vehicle cooler and show people what we can do? Really chance to stretch my wings and get everything on my own wish list and have something in my cabinet that I'm excited about, you know? And it also shows people that if we really come together as a community for future products, imagine what we could do.
No, I mean 100%. Yeah.
So for instance, I know that for Sideshow alone, the order was 10,000 units for that old Batmobile, and that was reusing the same molds, so they don't have to pay for that again. Plus, the rest of the world on top, they're making 10 times the vehicles that we are for this, and this is amazing. When we're doing a little over 2,000 vehicles, I mean, when like these vehicles is 250 worldwide, right? Imagine what we could do.
Did you say the Jazzinc, the 89? I keep saying Jazzinc. It's just a habit. Jazzinc 89.
Yeah.
For the 89, is it only 2,000 or?
Yeah, a little. It's going to be a bit over 2,000, but we're not entirely sure yet because they're going to be cancellations
worldwide.
and
Yeah.
worldwide.
So
Yeah.
That and even that's like I never really gravitated towards something because it's limited or it's numbered, but I like that too. That is pretty cool. Would you ever consider numbering them, or is that even?
We are.
Oh, they are numbered. Sorry, I didn't even realize it was numbered. But
you're getting a limited edition plate.
I didn't actually even realize that. I actually bought just on the merits of what I saw.
You're also getting a limited edition plate. It's going. Your plate's going to be numbered. It's going to be first come first serve. So depending on when you ordered, you're going to be that place in line. That's your number. It's going to be a metal brushed aluminum plate.
I've seen that. Yeah. I
didn't
realize
signed by
it was
me,
actually
signed by
gonna
my
be
father.
numbered.
Yep.
And I appreciate that as well. That's a lovely touch. I really appreciate it. I did not realize that they were actually numbered. To be honest, like so. That's excellent. Can I just address some of these chats here? You're getting just
go ahead.
Your fans are calling. So, Ian H and Silver Fox, the transparency here is incredible. Ian's an engineer, and he's a collector. So this is basically right up. This is his Christmas. If people don't know about, nope, I don't know about that. Profit
earnings before interest taxes, earnest before interest taxes, and amortization, something like that. So yeah,
okay.
It's basically. So okay, I think this is interesting. Thank you for Ian. Thank you for putting that up. So basically, if you're thinking of a stack of money, right? Let's take all the money that people are paying for the Batmobile, right? Then that's 100%. Then, like I said, 70% of that stack goes away to suppliers alone, right? Then we have to pay our own salary of the people that work for us, Kiara and all that sort of thing. Then we have to pay PayPal. Then we have to pay and all these sort of things. So basically the stack you're left with at the end for interest and taxes, which is basically your gross profit, is what Ian's talking about. So when we say 70% of your stuff, of your dollar goes into the product, then we're just talking gross margin, right? So there's a big difference between your actual profit, your bottom line, and the gross margin on a product. And usually in retail, a retail mortar and brick store alone needs somewhere around 35% of margin to stay afloat. Then the wholesaler has to make money, the factory has to make money, and that's why these things are not possible in that business model of factories, wholesale, retail, like standard toys.
It's really interesting. We're definitely getting our kind of our business talk and our maths in today. So I do appreciate that insight, because these are things that, like, I know we just don't hear of a lot. Like, so, Ramstein fan 89. Look how honest and transparent Joost always is, and still people complain. Haters gonna hate, man. Haters gonna hate.
Yeah,
so,
it's amazing. They don't need a lot. Sometimes they need nothing at all. It's baffling, but funny.
How do you deal with that? Like, how do you say, obviously, having a Facebook page and it's kind of a free forum, people can say what they want, essentially. Like, how do you moderate that? I mean, obviously there's probably an odd inappropriate comment that has to be taken off or something like that, but how do you address that, or do you have a strategy for it?
Well, I have help there. You remember Derek Sizemore, who's in the chat?
Yep.
He's my moderator, so he manages that for me most of the time. He offered to do that, I don't know.
In exchange
Derek?
for a Ford Taurus from RoboCop, I believe, yep.
Derek, how long was it ago? 3 years now, I think. If he's still on the chat, he's probably working today
I'd
as
say
well.
he's
But
still
anyway.
here. Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so Derek helps me. Again, it's community driven, right? And the first time that happens, you lose sleep over that. The second time, not so much. And then by the end, it's just water off a duck's back most of the days. If I'm very tired,
yeah,
if I'm very tired, sometimes I get upset about him. But most of the time, you know what the fun thing is? Well, there's one obvious hater. I'm not even gonna name his name. It has zero influence. We don't see any drop in orders. We don't see any cancellations anytime he starts making up and starts spouting shit. So the water off a duck's back.
Yeah, that's the best way. I mean, I don't think there's a content creator or YouTuber out there in the world that doesn't get some sort of comments, but usually when you do get those troll comments and you click into them, it's like, oh, someone with 0 subscribers and 0 videos and a random name. So it's like they just set up the troll account so they could tell you to go fuck yourself and then scurry off onto the internet, which is completely pathetic. So they get blocked and that's it, and you just move on. So I think that's water off a duck's back. It's just haters gonna hate. So
but
we have
let's go back to the Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises, where Michael Caine says some people just want to watch the world burn or something like that.
Yeah. About the rubies. Yeah, it was in the Dark Knight. The tangerines, thrown away rubies the size of a tangerine. Yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Yeah. And I, because that's so far from my personality, where I always try to be positive and constructive and open, and I have nothing to hide, right? So, but that stuck with me, because I'm like, the only reason this guy is doing that is because he loves watching things burn.
That's it. You're just gonna get on with it, I suppose, don't we?
Yeah.
We got Mario in the chat. Thanks very much for being here, Mario.
El Professor.
Pretty sure he's got this on order as well.
Yeah.
We've got a Feel the Burn. Definitely need a drifter bike. That seems to be a quite popular one as well. Derek is here. Drifter motorcycle is something that was brought up, but no immediate plans. Never say never, though. We can live in hope.
Well, the people in the group did. It's the 2022 drifter bike, right?
Yeah.
In the group, somebody did bring it up, but I think there was even a poll. Correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, but I think most people were like, meh. So yeah, Derek has been with us for 4 years. Well, with us, he's volunteering to moderate the group. That's amazing.
Excellent.
Thank
we
you,
do
Louis.
appreciate that, Derek. So I'm going to move on to. I have to address something here. Actually, someone has been extremely generous, so I do appreciate that. So we have someone. It's Philly. Figurecraft has donated $9.99. I do appreciate that. Because of that, I'm $9.99 closer to that Jazzinc 89. Appreciate you. Thank you. We know where this is going. Hi, Joost. Philly here. Thanks for joining Shane. I missed out on the Falcon cockpit. Would you consider reissue it with a new extension of a cargo bay door? That would be almost half a Falcon. What do you think?
There's two parts to that question. So first off, the reissue, the answer is no. I don't do reissues.
Okay, you've made a lot of those collectors very happy who are anti-reissue. Yeah, go on, sorry.
Yeah, so the thing I can imagine is something like with Hot Toys with their DeLorean, where the DeLorean for the second and especially the third movie are enough. They're different enough that they're not a reissue. I'm okay with that, but like the reissue of the 1989 Batmobile, or just basic reissues, I'm not into that. I don't think that's fair.
I suppose the DeLorean Mark II was a 2.0, I suppose we call it, because it's not the exact same. It has a hover conversion. It's not the same. So like what he's asking though, Figurecraft, it does sound like he's asking for like a Falcon cockpit, but with an additional extension. So it's not a direct reissue. It's a little bit different. Would you humor that, or would you still, it wouldn't sit right with you?
Okay, so in my vocabulary, a 2.0 is like Hot Toys did with a couple of Iron Man figures, and that's also something that really stuck in my craw, where you buy something and then they come up with a better version. Mm-hmm. So no, I wouldn't want to do that. Mm-hmm. And I think we're done with the cockpit. It took long enough to sell the few units that we had. I think it took 5 years for those few units that we made. So it's not, that's not really an option for me. And like I said, so definitely no reissues, definitely not a 2.0 where you're doing exactly the same thing but better. Mm-hmm. The only sort of exception I made there was for Zack Snyder for the charity thing, and but no. So what I think would be cool is if you keep it on the same level, like you did the DeLorean, but then you're making let's say the version with the hover conversion and the Mr. Fusion, and especially when you take the DeLorean for the third movie where you got the big wooden block with the IC and the train wheels, without upgrading the parts that people already have, so that you have you don't want to scoff at the people who backed your first project and make something better for the same price. I just don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm. I got you. I can see that logic, and I appreciate that you're straight out going, it's not going to happen. There's sometimes though, like I always wanted a proper Mark III Iron Man from Hot Toys, and I never really liked the one they did before. I felt like kind of underscaled, and they had this weird swap out torso. It was like a neutral torso, then a swap out. But they recently did a 2.0 of the Mark III. I gotta say, it's absolutely stunning, and I'm delighted they did it. And even some people who had that other Mark III were like, okay, I have the old one, but my God, it's night and day. So I suppose it's different though with a vehicle as well, and they're smaller runs. But I appreciate you giving a straight out answer to that. We've one more chat here before we move on. I've got a few more questions. You know what? I'll just I'll pin this, and then I'll get to it later on, because I kind of, there's a lot more questions that I want to pick your brain here with. So what were the factors, like just probably this is the last price related. I think you've actually answered this. The main factors that determine the price of your products. I think you've kind of spoke at length about that, really. But is there anything else you want to add in on that? Like if there's any other, the main factors that come to your mind that determine the price of the product, like.
Yeah. All right. So the main thing is, and that's the factor or the function of the limited edition nature of what we do. The market is not big enough to support these vehicles in the 5-figure runs like the big companies need. So normally, like the things that cost a lot with us, like I said, the mold cost is almost half of most product runs, sometimes more. The mold and the tooling and all that sort of thing. And to get that cost down, you just make 20 or 30,000 units, right? Because then basically the same molds with a few extras and maybe harden the metal for it to last longer. Then you can divide that through 20,000 instead of 2,000. And then the price goes down by a factor of 10 by the function of just being able to divide it over more products and basically get 20,000 people to pay for your mold instead of 2,000 or 250, right? That makes sense, right?
Yeah. So the mold is going to cost you a certain amount either way, and more people who back it, you get more value out of the mold.
Yeah, and that's why because I could divide those fixed costs for the 1989 over more people than I was expecting. Mm-hmm. I get more budget free. I could have kept the profit, but no, we added like all those extra features for the money we saved because we could make the mold last longer. And then they are slightly more expensive if you want to make them last from for 2,000 pieces instead of 250 pieces. So, but it's such a small extra compared to the the savings that you get per by dividing it over 2,000 people instead of 250, right?
I see.
So, but still, the limited edition nature, and people then say, when I say, why is it things so expensive? Because they're extremely limited edition, and those mold costs are the same. Then people say, yeah, I don't care about it being limited. Yeah, but you're still paying for it. I mean, there's no way to do it cheaper, or other people would have done it, right? Other companies would do it. I mean, there's a reason why Hot Toys hasn't released a new design vehicle, large vehicle anymore since 2010, right? It's been 14 years. So that's the biggest cost. Then manual labor, because the way we make the molds and the way we make the parts, it makes it a lot more labor intensive. Like I said, every part has to be cut and set. Like you're building a very big and very thick-walled and strong model kit. You've probably done that, right, in the past. Build a jet or something like that. Well, we have to do that for every single vehicle. So if we take the 2022 for instance, that's 350 plus parts every single time that we make a 2022. Those have to be made, clean cut, sanded, primed, filled, sanded, primed, then either assembled or painted, depending on which parts. Some parts, like you did with the model kit, you paint them before. Other parts, you need to do the assembly first before you can paint. Electronics in there, more paint, weathering. It's just the other thing you're paying for with us is there's so much more manual labor involved than any other collectible. And then you're paying for the features, which usually, because of the higher price point, you're trying to justify that by also adding more features, right? That really don't cost as much, but are justified or should be present if you're at the price point that we're at, basically.
Thanks very much.
So,
I appreciate you sharing that kind of insight. And again, these are things that I just don't know really, and it's nice. I'm very interested to find out how that works in the background. So, thank you. So like this one is kind of, I suppose this is a big one really. So like hypothetically, pardon, someone gets their 89 in, and it arrives in, and say there's a crack on it, or there's some serious damage done to it. So there's two parts to this question. One, what are you doing as a company to prevent that? And you can't prevent it, but reduce the probability of that happening in transit. And the second part is, if the shit hits the fan and that happens, like what is the aftercare service you offer? What is the process for someone who's bought one of these and it's gone to Ireland, or it's gone to the States, or it's gone to Japan or wherever?
Okay, well, happy you asked that. So we're adding more and more steps. So for the 1989, for instance, let's do the 1995, the previous release. So we always do a test batch of early production samples. So let's say all the molds and everything is done. So we're happy with the final prototype. Based on that final prototype, we always make a few more changes, and they're always improvements. So basically what you're seeing when you're ordering it on the website is you're seeing a picture of the prototype, but the final production piece needs to be at least as good, but usually is better because we do a little bit more tweaking and maybe some additions, right? Then you make the tooling. Now that, and I can show you a video of what when I talk about tooling, what does that look like? So
please do, because I haven't a clue what you mean. I need to see this. I'm a visual learner.
So let's see. So basically what you're talking about is a very big metal puzzle that is the opposite of what you're trying to make. So if you look closely at this, you can see this is the back cover plate that goes on top of the exhaust for the 1989, right?
Okay.
Can you see the shape in there?
I'd be lying if I said I could. Are you
Okay,
the
so-
thing that curved to the left? Is it?
No, it's so if you're looking at the back, there's these two exhausts that came.
Oh, I
out
can see
of-
the exhaust now. Yeah, I
the
can see that.
the Volkswagen Bug, I think they used for that. So that's this part. So imagine, and this is all solid metal, and this has to be machined, and depending on how many molds this thing has to last, it has to be hardened steel and then hardened again. So this whole process from the prototype to production takes about 5 to 6 months to create all those parts, and that creates a big puzzle of 150 centimeters by, well, imagine our Batmobile and add about 30 centimeters in every dimension. So you'll have all these metal tooling parts that get into the machine to get the parts made, right?
So what I'm looking at here, this is not a part that will go on the vehicle. This is the thing that makes the parts that go onto the vehicle. There's an
Exactly.
inverted. This is the negative, basically. An inverted,
Exactly.
I'm with you. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the part that makes the part that goes on the vehicle. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about making tooling and molds, right?
Okay.
So, and those are many parts to make all the parts. Because imagine a mold for every single part that you make for a car. And remember, for the 2022, we said it's 350 parts. You'll have to have 2 parts that clamp together to make the part that that makes that part. So I see a super chat from The Empire Strikes. Injection or blow molded? It's injection molded. Most of the parts are injection molded.
Okay. He's that's engineering speak. Is that this is Phil?
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is,
It's
one of the-
injection molded. So you make that metal part, you clamp it, and then inject the material in it. And we use a very special material that has a 0.4% tolerance, which is one of the reasons why we don't like using die-cast, because they have worse tolerances than the materials that we use. Okay. Again, that's a technical thing. It's also not as detailed and crisp as you can do with the materials that we use. So we are very selective in what we use for die-cast. Right? So, okay, so we have that done. Then we do a test shoot of making all those parts. We sand all those parts, we assemble them. Those are the test batches, right? Then those go through all kinds of rigorous testing to prevent problems. We have a custom supplier that can calculate how we should package it so that there's the least chance of damage. Then we have to do drop tests. So 120 centimeters above the floor, get your Batmobile in the box, the one that you worked so hard on, drop it.
Wait. Sorry. You go through all this trouble.
Yeah?
You do all the tooling for
Yeah.
your 350 parts.
Yeah?
They're made. They're sanded.
Sanded,
They're filled.
painted,
They're primed.
yeah.
They're painted. They're weathered.
Mm-hmm.
You put it in the
Assembled.
box, and then you drop it.
Yes. Not once.
Why? Okay, go on.
Drop
Sorry,
tests.
not once. Finish that sentence. Not once, but
Yeah, we have to drop them 20 times on each angle. So on all the surfaces of a box, so side, top, and then all the corners, all the sides, drop.
have you ever considered giving up the 1/6 model making and maybe getting a job as a baggage handler? You probably.
I
fit in.
certainly have.
Yeah,
I certainly have. Yeah. There are days when I love it. There are days when I think it's impossible to please everybody, especially collectors. But then, so we're not done yet. So this is all good. Because we have this much experience. We usually get past this point. Then we have bought a special shaker machine where we put the thing in the box and we shake it all around and we put it on the top and we shake it for 24 hours that way and we put it on the side. We shake it. If you're in the Facebook group, you've seen the video.
This might be my favorite part of the stream. So you drop it a bunch of times, and then you put it in a machine designed to shake things. And,
Yes.
Right. And okay. So, sorry. I have another question, but I want you continue. Continue.
Yeah. So then we send it to a selected group of intimates who have ordered it, who are willing to be test pilots for us. And so we send it to them. And then we see not only how does it survive actual shipping, but also what do they think of it. And for the 1989 Batmobile, we're increasing. So we're increasing the steps where we get a fully assembled dashboard first and send that off to people. What do you think? Still good? Still good?
Mm-hmm.
Based on right? And then for this vehicle, I'm going to be. I have asked a couple of people, and well, you're one of the people considering it. I'm trying to find that video of the shaking. Anyway, but so we have that feedback process, and then we go into the batch production. And still then, believe it or not, we get surprises after all those checks. There are still things, but I mean, the biggest company, even Apple, has issues that you it's impossible to test and predict everything and how it's going to be treated by either the shipper or by people.
Yeah. We've all seen those kind of door cam footage of DHL just throwing the box in the air and giving an L kick and stuff like that. And you know, I presume that's not everyone. Like who we won't generalize, but it happens from time to time, definitely.
So then, to answer your question, finally, let's just say something happens to your unit, and I'm glad to say, and I could, if you want, I can show you my shipper portal and show you the actual percentage. It's less than 1% where there's any real issue. Sorry, I got something in my throat. Anyway, if it's beyond repair, you just we give you a free return shipping label, and we ship you a new unit.
Okay, so hypothetically, I get the 89 unit, and there's something that's like, okay, this is severely damaged. I contact you, and I can ship back to you, not at my expense, and then get a replacement.
At my expense, and get a new one at my expense. Yeah.
Well, I fail to see. I don't see how that's a loss for me, or potentially could be.
Nothing.
You know what I mean? Like it's and I know that sound. I mean, that's great. And I have heard, again, like I said, I don't own any of your products, but from other people that I know who do that, been in the game a long time, many of which longer than me, who have had your products, and if they've very few have any issues, that they always say customer service is top tier. So that is. That's amazing. I think that's really what you want from a company. And the the shaking of the box and the dropping it, though. I have a question. I just want to address two super chats before I saw. There's a funny comment here. I thought it was quite funny. So I just there's two things that came in there. I just want to make sure I'm doing this right. Where are we? Okay, so we got.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. We got so Boba Fettuccine, Mighty Joost. I like that. There you go, Mighty Joost. Any news or updates on the 66 Batman figures? Interesting. Is that a possibility? I know you mentioned figures on another stream. I think you said that you didn't want to give anything away until licensing was confirmed, or maybe I completely misunderstood, or maybe there's been updates. So Boba Fettuccine would like to know.
Well, all right, we have the figure license. We are currently developing several figures. I had an exciting day today where I'm sorry. Can I just get some water?
Of course you can. Of course you can. Right. Yeah, of course you can. No problem.
Yeah. Talk about yourselves. 1 minute.
No problem.
All right.
Yeah, I'll address some of these chats here. Yeah, folks, if you've just joined us, we have 112 people watching live. I massively appreciate that. I don't get that type of numbers, but it is greatly appreciated. If you're watching on the replay, appreciate you too. As usual, there is a link if you want to consider becoming a channel member and support the channel even further. You don't have to do it, but it is greatly appreciated. Again, that is, as usual, pinned to the description, the live chat. It's the pinned comment in the live chat. So we've got Thomas. We got Classy Thomas. When you complete, I will ask him that. Massively appreciate that, Thomas. I will ask him that when we finish this question. And Phil, thank you. I really appreciate the £5 super chat about the injection or blow molding. So, are you okay, sir? The voice is under pressure.
No, I don't know. I haven't had this before, but there's this thing that keeps making me cough. Anyway, I am working on several figures. I had a good meeting today, or two actually, with some exciting stuff going on there. We had, I'm not going to say if it's an actor or an actress, but we had a very exciting email last week where we got a message. Basically, very excited about what we developed and giving their approval, because with figures, it's not only Warner Brothers who has to approve, but also the actor, actress, or actress estates has to approve.
Interesting. Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah.
Warner Brothers might have the license to a certain popular character, and even to the character in that movie, but if the actor or actress isn't happy about anything to do with that, it can just kill a project.
Wow. Okay. So there's that dual contract, I suppose, or dual licensing. Right.
Yeah, and the thing is, Warner Brothers theoretically has a deadline where they have to give me a feedback on a project within a certain amount of weeks. The third party, as they say, as they call it in the business, doesn't have that. So that's why it can take many months, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So, but yeah, so we're working on several projects, and normally I would love to share everything I know about that project as soon as I know we're going to be starting on that project. But with figures, especially with Mars Toys, basically working down my list of what I said we would do 12 months, 15 months ago. Right now, I'm keeping it close to the vest, and my plan is this. So, I've asked to a lot of people I trust, and I've listened to all the requests that I always do over the last few months, and we decided on which figures would be the most interesting. And that can be figures from the 1966, from the Keaton era, from others. And we're currently developing several. Some are actually quite close, where we are we already have a nice prototype. And for at least one figure now, we have not only the approval from Warner Brothers, but also from actor/actress. I'm not going to say much, but
Could you tell us if it's 66 or Keaton?
no, I'm not going to say anything.
Blink twice if it's Keaton.
So, yeah, so we have the approval, so that first figure is definitely going ahead. But I want to be able to show both the figure and the accessories, the hands, the base, everything. So, and then we're going to do a big launch, and then people can see what they're getting. But Jazzinc wouldn't be Jazzinc if we didn't listen to community feedback. So the first prototype is basically that. And then we're going to be developing that figure for production, and that gives the community time to give feedback on likeness, paint job, accessories, what have you.
I don't envy you. Because look, as a collector and content creator, like I do give my thoughts on whether it's vehicles or figures and likenesses and stuff like that, and I try to be as fair as I can. I try not to be overly negative. I just look, if it's not up to the likeness, I'll say, okay, look, I just don't think it's there. But I try to be as honest as I can. But like I've seen sometimes, like, I think the Tony Stank. Do you remember Hot Toys missed the mark on the initial Mark 85 Iron Man head sculpt? It didn't look.
Yeah.
It didn't look anything like Robert Downey Jr. in my opinion. But I heard that like the sculptor got like really horrible messages like to his Instagram and to their Instagram and to their Facebook and stuff like that, which is just like, okay, right, if I don't think it looks like him, I'll make a video and I'll say it. But at the same time, there's a difference between, I think, attacking someone and just saying, look, I don't think it's there yet. Like, I think constructive criticism is important, but it's a funny balance really between being completely negative all the time and then can be completely positive, and the room could be on fire and you're going, oh, this is fine, everything's fine. I think you need to hit that sweet spot where I think the sweet spot is where good work gets done and proper constructive feedback gets given. But I am looking forward to that. So it's a licensed Warner Brothers. You're not going to say if it's an actor or an actress, and you have both the Warner Brothers go ahead green light, and you also have the actor/actress's green light.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's
I can say the first figure is definitely a go, and as soon as I'm ready, I will show it as soon as possible because I'm eager to show, and there will be.
What are you waiting for? Like, are you waiting for it to be up to a certain standard, or is there a specific date you have in mind, or what's the?
No,
it's just not ready yet, or
it's not. So we have the prototype of the figure and the basic design, but we're still working on the design for the base, and we still have to decide on the number of hands, accessories, that sort of thing.
that is really
so.
Exciting.
Right now, I'm in the mode where I will wait as long as I can until some illegal company chooses to tease or show that same figure, in which case I might just show what I have and have people trust me that the rest will come, as we have shown time and time again. But so far, that's not been necessary. So I just want to show people everything that we're planning to do.
There's something I have in my head, and okay, right. Based on that, there's something that I don't know if it's. I hope it's this one, but look, I'll leave it there anyway. That's very interesting. Thanks for answering that particular question. Now, I do have some more questions for you, obviously, but first I got to address a few of these. Okay, so we've got a few super chats, and I just want to go through these before I move on. So we've got.
Can I one last thing, Boba? So with the 1966 figures, all I can say is they're in the mix.
Okay.
Of what we're working on.
Good stuff. Great question, Bob Fettuccini. I do appreciate the super chat. We got Classy Thomas. You can see Classy Thomas every Sunday night on the Ben Thomas Show. And when you complete a run, do you destroy your molds or keep them for historical purposes?
Well, we keep them, but that's also because if for any reason, so we make an extra few units, a small percentage for those situations that you said. We always want to be able to deliver, right? So if something gets completely destroyed during transit, and we made exactly the number of vehicles that the people have ordered, then that person would be SOL, and that's not cool. So we always make a few extra for that. That's also the reason why we have the wait list, because we always get cancellations, and we make extra units, and we usually make more units than we need just to be safe. But I would like to keep them all. If we ever had to revisit parts or something, it would be a shame to just destroy something so
absolutely.
expensive.
That's great.
Yeah.
There's a backup there. You've already answered this question, but thank you very much to Phil, aka the _Empire Strikes back. I can't say Empire Strikes. That saying Strikes Back. I stream with this guy every week. He's an absolute gentleman. But the _Empire Strikes for £5 super chat, greatly appreciated. So we got Halliday Lane, who basically just gave $9.99 and didn't ask a question. That was very generous. I hope you didn't give that and then forget to answer your question. But then he has another super chat. Hey Joost, any chance of a 1/6 scale kit Knight Rider?
All I say to that is yes, if Universal gives me the license.
Mm-hmm. And is that something you are actively pursuing, or is it is there any forward motion on that? Or oh right, interesting, excellent stuff. Thanks very much for that, Halliday Lane. So the next question now, again, like just full transparency, just for anyone watching. I don't like blindsiding my guests. I think it's if they're giving up their time. I like to create a kind of a safe space where we can have a conversation and I can ask the questions I want and relay some of the questions on. So behind the scenes, before we come on, I said, "Look, is there any you don't want to talk about?" And Joost said, "No." He says straight out. And I said, "Do you want me to show you the question I'm going to ask?" He said no, and I admire that, and I think that's amazing. And just one thing that I had noticed. Now I don't know if this is complete nonsense or did I get this taken out of context, or is it just one of those things? I didn't see the post myself. Maybe it's something that just grew legs and got taken out of context. I think it's really important that say you have your say in this to set the record straight on this. It was about a year ago. Someone received, I don't even know what it was some vehicle or something like that. And they made a post. I don't know, did they reach out to you first? But they made a post on the Jazzinc Facebook page. And there was some issue they were having with something. And someone commented back, I don't know, an admin or something. I don't know if it was an official admin or was it just someone comment back that they should fix it with like some sort of putty or something like that. Was that absolute nonsense or was that taken out of context? Because I think it's I've heard the story through like groups and streams, and it was kind of a point of contention there for a while, and I thought, okay, maybe I'm just hearing one point of this. I didn't see the post. I don't own the vehicle. I just heard this one point. What did that happen, or what's the truth, or would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I think you are talking about. This was because there's only one incident where I'm glad you asked this actually, because there was this one incident. I think it was 2 summers ago, so it's like 18 months ago now, where we had delivered Raised Peter, and either the person had dropped it or it was damaged during shipping. I forget. Either way, there was something with the front grill. Mm-hmm. And this person had asked me, how do I fix that? And I said, well, it's not an easy fix because it would require putty and airbrushing. Why don't I just send you a new one? Mm-hmm. And this is why I think it might have been because he did it himself or something, or he just thought it's really not worth the trouble, even though, again, I pay for shipping back and forth. Mm-hmm. He said, no, I don't want that. How do I fix this? And then I said, well, the best thing then would be to do putty and put some Vallejo silver paint over that.
So then option A was so much better, though. Option A, just send it back. You cover the shipping, and then you get a replacement, or it gets.
Some people don't want that. Okay. They want even though I pay for the shipping, they don't want the hassle and the uncertainty. And in this case, I was pretty sure the person was like, yeah, it's not fair, and we're not going to do that. He just didn't take me up on the offer. He didn't want it, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, the only thing I can think of is putty. Mm-hmm. And then this person went into my group and said, well, I have this situation. Joost said, fix it with putty. Do you have any simpler suggestions?
So they were looking for advice or something.
Yeah.
From other people but you'd
Yeah.
already offered to replace the part, and you were paying the shipping back. You get a brand new unit.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
you didn't,
and so
they didn't want
but what
that.
then,
You got- okay.
what yeah, and what then happened? People were losing their shit because what you get a damaged product and pay, and Joost just says, here's some putty. And what happened was one of those persons had a YouTube channel, and he started a YouTube video about this. He was driving around in his car, and I was away on holiday, but he didn't ask me for my feedback, I think, or maybe I was away on holiday and I saw it too late or something. He also approached the person who this was about. That person, well, also hadn't seen the message, I guess, because he would have said, you're taking this out of context. And he started this whole thing about, oh, but this is ridiculous, especially for the amount you're paying, blah, blah, blah. And so basically, both in that video and in our Facebook group, and you can check this, fact check this very easily, the person who this was about, and I forget their name, but he posted, no, this is getting way out of hand and completely out of context. Joost offered a replacement. I didn't want it. I'm just looking for a simple way to fix a small dent or something that came in, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't my fault either way. But that's the story. That's the whole story.
Okay.
And you can fact check.
And I appreciate that. And I didn't make you feel uncomfortable by asking.
No,
and stuff
I'm
like that.
very
That's why I said, yeah.
Ask all these difficult questions because I'm glad to be able to explain this sort of thing.
And these are the questions, like when I'm sitting at home and I'm watching interviews, I'm like, okay, but I want to know this and this and this, and it's like, why is the person asking that and that? And like there's a way of doing it, I suppose, in a respectful way, like, but like, no, I really appreciate that, because I hadn't heard. I'd only heard like one point of view, and I was kind of wondering what actually happened there. So that thanks for putting that clarity on it. And even that, like, that makes me feel better with, say, I paid off another installment of the 89 today, and that makes me feel better and more confident in the company. And like I said, I'm not going to say if, when that 89 gets
Very
in,
good.
and when I'm learning, and when I absolutely love it, I'm going to say when you announced that Robocop, you have my money. So I'm going to address these two quick super chats before I move on, because still a few more. Are you okay for time for another few minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, great, excellent stuff. So I'll just really quickly. Okay, so again, people, you're being extremely generous tonight. You don't have to do that, but it is greatly appreciated. And obviously, goes right back into the channel, where that's upgrade and display, or into the 89, or whatever, it goes back into the channel. You don't have to do it. It's greatly appreciated. The same people in the channel members, you don't have to join, but if you want to support, obviously the link is there. So we've got David Gutierrez, who basically just drops $4.99 and didn't even ask a question. I do appreciate that. And then underneath, another $4.99, huge fan. This is obviously of you, not me. Batwing is in transit. I'm very, very jealous. Do you have any of those Batwings lying around there? No, I don't have space. I don't have space. And 89 Batmobile is reserved. This is a man after my own heart. Question: are there any 66 Batmobiles sitting in reserves? Odds of it making off waitlist?
So the last time I checked, we're still waiting for 6 people to pay off, and those are all people, because the 1966 has been out for so long, that have really horrible personal issues that delayed the payment. So I don't think, because they took so long to start paying it, that they're going to cancel at this point. For those people, I still have 1 unit in reserve. So I really think the odds of making it off the wait list are 0 at this point.
And I appreciate that kind of straight talk as well, just straight out to the point. But unfortunately, David, is not looking good, but I do appreciate that. And the thing is, I've seen some of the prices. That 66 on eBay is going for crazy prices,
Yeah.
And I suppose that's a testament to the, like, obviously the initial build quality and the product itself, but then also the limited nature and the fact that you don't reissue. So we got one other one, $199. Dirk Diggler's stunt double. Every time I see the name, it reminds me I gotta go watch Boogie Nights again, and I think I've been saying that for the last year. Every time it's in, I gotta see that again. He does have it right. This man is very prepared, so obviously thanks very much, Dirk Diggler's stunt double. So there you have it. It looks pretty epic.
Yeah, let me show you the back as well. I saw that chat come in, so that's why I was clicking while I was answering the other question. Approval uploads, Warner Brothers packaging, approval phase, design 2. There you go. This is the back. These are huge files, so it takes a while to open.
No problem.
And there, share screen. I think it's this one. Share. There you go.
Okay. So this is
the
the back. Oh man, it even has that kind of like, I know, that 89 feeling, like the font, the gold and the yellow and the black, like just it's not doing the absolute the size of that monster box. So so you're going to get one of these products, and you're going to put it in the shaker, and you're going to drop it from like 120 centimeters, like 20 times or
20
something
times
like that.
for every angle, yes.
All right. Do you ever like document that, as in like open up the box, look folks, this is an 89 Batmobile, we're just going to test it now and close it? I think everyone would watch those videos of the things falling down, and you know, you don't have to show us what happens, like, but that'd be amazing content. I would love to see that, like, but
okay.
Would you ever consider it?
I could.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
that'd
sure.
be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think people would definitely watch it, but although if it does break, people will having those tears in their eyes watching that, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so another question I have. This is something that I would imagine if you had like $1 or €1 for every time you're asked to make something that you haven't currently made, you could probably set up shop.
Stop working.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to get the really quickly here. I have my own tab in the background, and I want to make sure that I have the data right on this. So what I did was I have to switch on. I have to turn off my for one. 1 second. This is probably you're probably gonna hear my. No, there it is. Okay, I did. You can still hear me, Joost?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what I did was, I just out of curiosity, I just put up a poll on my channel 13 days ago. It was, if Jazzinc were to make the RoboCop OCP Detroit cop car, would you pre-order it? And it was a yes or no maybes. I know this data, it's not accurate because of various different variables that, you know. It's 184 votes in total. Thank you to anyone who voted. We got 21% who said yes, and then 79% no. So I appreciate that people actually said no, that they were like, no, I'm not going to waste your time. But you obviously, on your own channel, on your own Facebook, you put up these polls regularly to get a kind of an insight into see where people are at, or what's popular, or what people want. What's the conversion rate? Like, for example, let's say you do that. You do your version of that and say yes or no or whatever, and let's say 100 people say yes, I would definitely pre-order it. Have you seen any trends in terms of, out of that 100 people, what percentage actually put the money down when it comes to pre-order?
Less than half.
Less than half. Okay, right. So there by that logic, then, based on, there's 184 votes, so 21%. Okay, you're talking, that's roughly around 40. So basically, if that was true, only 20 people would actually put money down on that. Then when push came to shove, and of course the 89 is 2,000 units. So do you know how many units the Jedi Starfighter is, just for reference? Or are you allowed to share that? Or would you?
No, I can't. But
okay,
it's not a lot. But
okay, but it's a lot more than 20, basically.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm going to be moving away from the custom stuff anyway, so I would want to do that licensed, all big projects. And so for something like RoboCop, doing that vehicle, I wouldn't get a license to do 20 of anything.
Yeah. And would you, just on that actually, like, there's obviously I have a bunch of things that, you know, people are saying, is there any interest in this? Could this be possible? Whatever. Just like, all jokes aside, I understand that some things, like, you need to make your money again. You're a company, and I understand that there's you know, supply and demand, and that there's some things that just won't sell, and then some people will say they want something and probably won't commit, and licenses are just unattainable. Like, all jokes aside, the RoboCop car, is that like off the table, or is there any sort of chance, or is it something you're not interested in doing, or?
I think it's a very, very, very long shot. I never say never, but there's a couple of ways I take we say in the Netherlands, we say to take the temperature of something.
Yeah.
One would be, how many times a week do I get a request? And two, how viable is it? And then how popular is the movie and or franchise? And so basically the simple answer to your question is, what if I were to make the top 3 vehicles that I have not yet made that get green light on all these 3 categories, enough people ask me about it, it's viable, and there's enough interest in the franchise, then my top 3 vehicles to be made that I think are also going to be a success are KITT, James Bond's DB5.
There you have it. There we have it. We had it here at 2 hours
5.
and 2 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes. Brilliant. So you're saying the Aston Martin DB5?
Yeah, Aston Martin DB5 and the Mach 5 from Speed Racer. Those are 3 vehicles that I have on my list that have a very high chance of one time being made if I get the chance.
Well, look, I just have to highlight this guy. So this is Ian, aka H in Silver Fox, a very good friend of mine. He's a channel member. He's a panel member. When we have conversations, unfortunately, everyone, especially the Americans, have to use subtitles because they've no idea what the Irish and the Scotsman are saying. Joost, when he is starting the DB5, I said when, if not. Now, he's using your own words against you, but he was at me he goes, please ask him. And I know that you get it requested a lot. So is that a potential reality then?
I've written a very specific letter regarding that very subject very recently. That's all I can say about that.
That would be very, very interesting. I need to get off the stream and start looking for custom Daniel Craigs, but very interesting stuff.
Yeah. If we do the DB5, then there's also going to be figures. You can't do a car without the figures.
You can't do a car without the figures. Yeah, that's very exciting.
Same for KITT. If we get the license for Knight Rider, we're going to do KITT, but also Michael Knight and maybe Bonnie, and so so if we do get the James Bond license, we're going to do the DB5, but there's also going to be accompanying figures, of course.
Very interesting. That is very interesting. I can see there's 2 other super chats there. I have seen them. I will get to them. I just want to move a little bit further onto this, but don't worry, I will absolutely read them out. Sorry, Philly, I'm after.
We've talked about this.
We did indeed, yeah. I want to. Where is that? Is that on starter? It's been. Sorry, I just had to remove that for a second. It's a bit back. So what I'll do is I'll ask you another question here while I think I unstarted, so I've got to go back and find it. So thanks for asking the conversion rate. This should just be a quick one. I know we talked about this a lot, but what's your ETA say for the initial say beta batch for the Batmobile 1989, and then do you know roughly where do you project that, say, the first batches will start rolling out?
Okay, happy you asked that. So to answer the first part of the question, let's say you are one of those 10 people who are the beta testers, then you can expect yours somewhere early June. So
June of this year?
Yes.
That's quick.
That's 2 months from now.
That's really quick, because the pre-orders closed on, what, the 31st of December of...
Yeah, but we've done a lot of development already, and then we do the tooling. That takes 6 months. Then you do the test shooting, and then you do the assembly of the first 10 units. But if something major were to come out of that test, then that might delay the first batch. So let's if all is well with the first test batch of the 1989, and there's no major things, maybe it's just a simple repaint, fix the colors, like we're changing or we're already changing the tint of the nose cone to a darker gun gray metal, but it's too dark or something like that. That's an easy fix, right? That doesn't take much more time. So then, how long does it take to build those cars? Well, like I said, 6 to 8 weeks. So then 6 to 8 weeks later, we have the first batch to ship out. And then it's going to be a batch every 4 to 6 weeks after that until the end of the year, when we are almost when should be done with production of all 2,000 cars.
Wow. Okay. So June for the beta, and then so this year then for essentially all going well.
If all goes well, I think everybody who's paid theirs off will get theirs this year before Christmas.
That would be a very, very nice Christmas present, I have to say. I didn't expect you to say that. I thought these things would maybe take a little bit longer. That's amazing. So look, I'm just going through. A lot of people mentioned kit. Obviously, you've addressed that. Mm-hmm. And the potential of a figure. The next one, then, obviously, we spoke about the OCP Robocop car, and you said it was an outside shot, and I appreciate your honesty and transparency there. That's you never say never, but yeah, I appreciate.
I don't think so for now. Yeah,
I appreciate that. I like that direct talk. The Aston Martin DB5, which is massive news, and the figure, which didn't see that coming. I see Ian is celebrating. He's calling in sick to work tomorrow. He's got the Scottish whiskey open.
We're just starting talks, and maybe.
We'll temper our expectations.
Yeah. And those processes. So the whole licensing thing for Warner Brothers took somewhere between 12 to 18 months. So we're talking flying cars. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So the 1966 Batgirl bike was brought up. I saw one or two comments about it. I know that you're doing the 1966 Bat bike. Was the Batgirl bike on the radar? Would you think there's something to be demand for?
Chiara thinks it's offensive to women with all the tropes of the frilly things and the big mirror. So she said if I'll ever make that, she quits. But I think
just in case the people are watching, this is what exactly we're referring to here. Just in case you don't know, but. Yeah,
the vanity mirror, all that. But anyway, the big bow on the back. Anyway, I still think it could be viable. However, we will put it to a vote. And if you ask to take the temperature again for the next 1966 projects, the number 1 and number 2 contenders, I think, based on what I hear, are either the 1966 Batcave or parts thereof, or the Bat boat first.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I hear that. So some of the ones here, I have to actually show this because this is Ian right now. This is his logo there sitting on the DB5. I think that's a very, very bad Photoshop job there of Daniel Craig resting on a DB5. You mentioned this already. We've addressed that. You've crushed my dreams here, but I will not give up hope. You never say never. This is a bit of a random one. I have the Hot Toys one in the next room. I haven't unboxed because I'm waiting on those module cases to come, and I'm really looking forward to it. And this was a Batmobile that it's never going to be 89 to me, but it definitely with every watch it fit in perfectly in Nolan's real world vision of the Dark Knight or Batman, and it just grew me to the point where now I absolutely love it. You've made pretty much. You've made it, 66? You're making the 89. You've made the 95, the 22. I know that you recently had posts up about the animated Batman. People are asking about the 97 Batman and Robin, and I got 1 or 2 comments about this. Is there other Batmobiles on the horizon?
Well, I think after the animated series, which is still quite likely to be the next one, after that, based on the poll results, I think the 1997 would be next. I would love to do that just to complete the movie lineup, and then people could buy the tumbler from Hot Toys and have all the movie vehicles from start to finish. Would I redo the Tumbler? Funnily enough, because that is such a small vehicle, I think Hot Toys was actually pretty close on this one.
Yeah.
I haven't studied it very closely for accuracy, but size-wise, it might be underscaled because most of the stuff is underscaled, but not as grossly as the 1989, if at all. So I don't see, unless the community convinces me otherwise and point out the issues, I don't see mine adding that much if I were to do the Tumbler. I think Hot Toys did a very decent job on this, actually.
And I get you, and I like the way that even though like they're, I suppose in a way like say in vehicle to vehicles, there is that competition there. You're still recognizing no, they more or less hit the mark on this one. So I appreciate that honesty again, transparency. So I just really quickly before I just conscious that there's a few people are being extremely generous tonight, and it is appreciated. So just want a few questions there. With the relationship with Warner Brothers, so I want to remove this picture. Is there any chance for Harry Potter stuff, flying car, a train cabin dio, or even magical creatures? And he loves his 22, so this person has the 22 Robert Pattinson Batman in. Thank you very much, Austin McLean. You don't have to do that. It is greatly appreciated.
Well, I would love to do Harry Potter stuff. I'm a fan. My son is a massive fan. But taking the temperature again, I don't get asked about this a lot. There's some awesome Harry Potter stuff with regards to figures, especially what I've seen the teases from the new in-art Harry Potter stuff. But I wonder if there's enough support in the community to do anything beyond those figures. What I've seen is basically I think the audience is still too young. So you need to have an audience where there needs to be a nostalgia factor mostly, and they need to be of an age where they can actually afford this kind of thing.
100%. 100%.
So Harry Potter is one of the biggest licenses in the world. Why did Hot Toys never pursue it? I don't think there's a six-scale market for it yet. That audience is 30 to 60, right? And more 40 to 60, 65-ish, right?
You can tell by the YouTube, say if I look at my analytics, it's overwhelmingly male people, for starters, although the female percentage is growing. And then it is typically people, it peaks, I think, people between 30 and 50. So they're out of college, they've been working for a few years, they're not like straight into the job, and they've got a bit more disposable income. Yeah, you're dead right. Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it.
And if you look at Harry Potter, those people are basically my sons, right? Maybe a little older, but somewhere between 15 and 30 more, right?
Yeah, that's definitely, it seems to be like that. Yeah. So the next one then, Emmanuel Skerry, asking about the Black Beauty. I had to Google what it is. Is this the Green Hornet?
Yeah.
Car?
Oh, Emmanuel, that is definitely on my list for 1966 products. I believe, I'm not sure I promised it to you, but I promised it in a previous stream where I said I would put the Black Beauty in the poll together with the Batboat and the Bat Cave for the next 1966 product. So I think the Black Beauty
can have their say.
Yeah, and I think the Black Beauty could have a shot. Honestly, yeah.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for very, very very generous $20 donation. He backs it up then with $2 as well. That's very, very generous. Trevor's a very good friend of mine, 1/6 shooter. Thank you very much for the $4.99 super chat. Miller is tight with the likenesses, but any chance of a Mad Max V8 Intercepted? That's one that comes up a lot. I've seen that in the comments a lot tonight and on the post. Do you still have the great Han Solo repaint from Sideshow Freaks?
Okay, so deal with the first part of that question, the Mad Max V8. I thought that was a perfect vehicle and a franchise that I wanted to pursue. So when Warner Brothers approached me to renew the contract, they wanted to talk to us about expansion. This was a little over a year ago when we were in London visiting them. They said, how about doing some Mad Max, because that's going to be an anniversary thing, all I believe last year. And I said, yeah, I've had enough questions from the community where I think adding Mad Max to the licensing lineup would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out they don't have the rights, Warner Brothers doesn't, for 3D objects, or 3D as they call it. So any figure, car, there isn't a license for that. Nobody has that. The only thing Warner Brothers can do is basically put out T-shirts, posters, books, that sort of thing. Anything Mad Max,
Wow.
but no, basically no collectibles.
I see. So that kind of puts a stop on that then for the time being.
I really wanted to do it. I think it was viable. I'd seen enough requests. We followed down that route. Warner Brothers couldn't get it, even though they suggested it. Yes, I still have that repaint. Thank you very much. It's in on this Stormtrooper Han in this diorama.
Okay. All right. So I'm really conscious of your time. We've gone over now at the time. So I'll wrap up with two more questions really quickly. So look, you've shared you've definitely hinted us things that you're working towards and things that hopefully like they're potentially in the pipeline. You've said that there's a figure coming. You have the Warner Brothers license and you have the go ahead from the actor/actress, but you don't want to give two away, possibly from the 1966 or possibly from the Keaton era. Very, very exciting times. Is there anything, we'll even take a tease, is there any exclusive news you have today or anything you want to add, or is anything in the pipeline that you're that you can announce, or that you maybe want to just tease us with? We do like a bit of speculation and a tease. We'll take what we're given.
All right, I'll give you one, because I saw a question somewhere in the chat maybe an hour ago. I think this is pretty safe. This was a suggestion that we're working on right now. This was a suggestion I got during one of the interviews.
Can I share this, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So, go on, Twan.
This is not going to be our first figure. This is going to be our first vehicle accessory. And it's going to be a sitting down Batman, Keaton Batman for your Jazzinc, Batwing, Jazzinc, 1989 Batmobile. If it fits, maybe even, yeah, it was Jose, yes, Jose. So if it fits, maybe even, it would be cool if it also fit in the Hot Toys Batmobile. So we're still working on this, but this is basically one of the things that we're developing. And I'm quite happy with how this turns out. I think we're very close. And
would this be a separate? This would be you have to buy that separately, obviously, for the.
Yeah. But
yeah.
We're trying to get this price to below a Hot Toys figure if we can, because it's going to be an accessory to a vehicle, so it's not going to have any extra hands or a base or anything. It just means you don't have to damage your Batman to have it sitting in the cockpit of the Batmobile or the Batwing.
That's a great idea. Yeah, and absolutely.
I've shown I've put a second picture that you can show. So this is basically where we're at with the design of the head sculpt. I think it looks very accurate.
Yeah, I can see Keaton there. And this you have this is the first time I think you've ever showed a head sculpt, is it?
Yeah. So you wanted
Alright.
the scoop.
Yeah, I got the scoop. Thank you very much for sharing that. I really appreciate that. So
Yeah.
that's a great idea
So-
as well, because I wouldn't put my I got the 2.0 on order, and that's going to be maybe standing next to the Jazzinc, you know. But that's amazing. Then if like from time to time I could take that and pose it next to say Nicholson above that, and just then put that accessory then inside in the cockpit. That's great. And very first time ever you've shown them. That's amazing. So did you have special? You work with obviously different. If you're making figures, you work with different sculptors then, obviously.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Final question. First of all, I want to thank Joost for giving up all his time. I want to thank everyone who's watching live, anyone watching on the replay, all the subscribers, any channel members. The overwhelming generosity from the chat today. I can see those last two super chats. I am going to be reading them out. Joost, this is a lot of work. There are so much easier ways that you could make money. Like the amount of work that goes in with the licensing, with say the tooling, with like addressing customer care and the pricing and the margins you're working in. Like, why do you still do it?
I love it. Every day I get to work, I walk into our showroom and use my remotes to turn on all the lights. I still get a kick out of that. And
Awesome.
I've worked in a lot of industries, built a lot of companies. Regardless of how difficult the collectors can be and how finicky, they are still, for the most part, and I say over 90% of them, the most excited, appreciative, positive, loving group of fans and customers I can have and I've ever had. And my wife feels the same way. She's had a lot of work, a lot of jobs. She sold her company too when she started working for me full time. And we both come out of a very high-end business-to-business environment, where customers are numbers and you're just a supplier that some purchaser needs to get the price down. And the personal relationship and the personal stories that we get to hear from people who actually feel like a grandfather who feels like a kid at Christmas again. Or we recently had a wife whose husband died unexpectedly, and she at first wanted to cancel the orders and then decided to make a display trophy room or a collectible room in his honor together with her kids. You know, it's that makes it worth it.
That's amazingly touching as well. That's kind of a sad story as well, but that's amazing.
Yeah, and we heard all kinds of things, but the most people, and like you see in the chat, they appreciate it. Most people understand what goes into this and how hard it is. And all I can do is just be open and answer all the questions and hope that most people get it. And yeah.
And you know what? I think if people take the 2.5 hours out of the time to watch the stream and actually listen and see what goes into everything from licensing to tooling to the margin, the business side of things, I think they'll appreciate it a lot more. So, Joost, massive thank you to. I'm going to read out these two super chats really, really quickly. Really appreciate Ian, aka Agent Silverfox. Thanks to Shane, and for this and the honest and transparency from Joost, refreshing in the 1/6 scale word. Is that thank you or something?
Very good. Bedankt.
There we go.
That's thank you in Dutch.
And the last super chat we have S Cody T. What's the probability of Arkham Knight car or Arkham Knight Batwing?
Car, I think that's a matter of time. The Batwing, that might be too big. But the Arkham Knight car, I get asked a lot. We have it in the poll. We had it in the poll, I had to say, in the last 2 times. It didn't make it then, but I think there's going to be a time where it will make it. So I think that Arkham Knight, there's a reason why I have that Arkham Knight IP in my contract with Warner Brothers.
Excellent stuff. Joost, I do apologize for taking a bit too much of your time there. We said we'd call it about maybe 2 hours. I'm going to end it here, folks. Is there anything else you want to say, or are we good to go? Or
Yeah, I want to thank everybody who supported. I love all these things I see in the chat. I read all of them. I'll go back and read some more. I hope this video gets viewed a lot, because a lot of important things got discussed here. So thank you for asking the questions and taking the time. And one specific question I still wanted to answer about the figures. Somebody asked, I have to scroll back a long way. Yeah, so those are, when we make the figures, they're going to be all custom, including custom bodies, to make sure they're the right size and proportion for the actor and actresses. So that was a question I saw come by that I thought would be good to answer. And the other one I forgot. So thank you all. Many days and most days we love you a lot. Thank you from me and my wife, because we sit opposite each other in our office, in our building. And we say, despite all these troubles that we discussed, and this is still the most fun job we ever had.
That's amazing. And thank you. So like I said, started this channel maybe 2 years ago. I didn't think I'd ever even get past 100 subscribers, and today we had at one point like over 100 in the chat. So it is humbling. It is greatly appreciated. And yeah, thanks very much to all the subscribers. Maybe hit a like, and if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. And the generosity from the super chats were amazing. And to be honest, I know exactly what I'm going to do to them. I'm going to use it to put towards and pay off this the rest of this Jazzinc 1989. And I'm now looking forward even more. That especially with the aftercare and everything, absolutely amazing. I really love this. We've got a late entry. Jay, brother cousin, this man is also interested in 1989. So I really appreciate that, Jay. Thanks for watching. Massively appreciate it. It's great when content creators are supporting each other as well. So massively appreciate, Jay. You didn't have to do that. So I think we're all more excited. Yeah, right back.
Thanks,
absolutely.
brother cousin.
So right, folks, we're out of here. See you guys.
Bye.